Hey, this is Anney.
Oh, and Samantha.
And welcome to Stuff Mom Never Told You, a production of iHeartRadio's How Stuff Works. We really should just let you do the music. I don't know why we're going out of our way to find professional music when we've got a professional musician right here.
Obviously, I'm the talent, and everybody's just automatically turned it off. And we're done.
I don't know what that was, but
I guess it's over.
I don't want any part of it.
So sorry.
Sorry. It's always good to start right with an apology.
Of course.
Yes. Well, this episode is kind of the part 2 / continuation that we were talking about in our last episode about women in the alcohol industry.
Yeah, this is where I made my dreams come true.
You did.
By drinking all the gin that they would serve me. It was very tasteful, tasty, tasteful.
It was tasteful and tasty.
That was a mixture of tasty and delightful, so I'm going to just leave it alone.
Yes, you really worked to make this happen.
It was beautiful.
It was. And we should probably say off the top, if you have any problems with alcohol, this is not the episode for you because it's sort of a cocktail hour.
It is.
Episode because we wanted to bring in a bunch of awesome women doing amazing things in the bar scene in Atlanta and have them make cocktails and then talk about what it's like, what's going on.
Right.
And it was very funny because our wonderful office manager, Tamika, she asked us, what do they need? And we weren't very helpful because
not at all.
We gave her a list, but it was of stuff that was very, I guess, not your usual alcohols, shall we say.
Again, they are the professionals.
Yes.
And so therefore they have very specific ingredients to make their whatever signature cocktails or whatnot. And so when we were like, Kahlua? No?
No.
No. Okay.
And she bought a 5th of everything, which was quite hilarious.
We have a lot of this in the office right now, and it's a delight.
We did not drink it all.
We have not. Surprise!
Yeah, and we this was a continuation of me meeting Tiffany at Atlanta Food and Wine and her introducing me to a bunch of amazing women in this industry. And it's something we want to return to because we're hoping to do a Sminty-themed cocktail.
Yes.
So if anyone listening is, curious or has any talent or want to experiment with a drink,
dude,
we're looking for a Sminty drink.
We are looking for a Sminty drink. And just so you know, Anney and I are big fans of gin.
Yes.
Very big fans of gin.
Also would love a non-alcoholic version.
Oh,
so
yes.
everyone can partake.
We would love a mocktail.
Yes. And just a heads up before we get into this, Samantha and I will be at She Podcast Live.
Doop-a-doop-a-doo. I don't know why that was. I don't know. That was a new one.
See how cool we are? You can experience that coolness.
Yes.
Live.
The entire time. Anney will be talking, and I'll just be doing theme music. You're welcome.
We won't have our super producer, Andrew, to edit, so it'll be very exciting. We'll be there this Friday being the 11th. October the 11th, because I don't know when you're listening to this, of 2019.
Of 2019, yeah, because people do like to throw back. So
yes, at 12 p.m. And we'll be talking about women supporting women and what that looks like. And then we will also be with our friends over at Unladylike, the past co-host and forever creator. We're going to be participating in what sounds like a game show where we're going to look like I'm going to go in as a character.
Oh, are you?
I don't know what character yet.
Well, as we are talking about alcohol right now, I already told Caroline that I would be sitting with a beverage in my hand, and she was like, all good. That would be the better.
Oh, is that allowed?
Oh, yeah, apparently.
Perfect.
She's like, why wouldn't you? I was like, fair.
Perfect. And we'll be at a bunch of other events that are happening there. So
there's a few parties happening. You should be there and join us and come say hey to us.
Yeah, so if you're interested, come check it out. But in the meantime, we think you'll definitely enjoy this cocktail hour, which before we even get into, shout out to super producer Andrew and also guest super producer DJ Dave, because he was running around with a shotgun mic as we were having a conversation. So
that dude had to run around.
We owe him.
Yeah.
We owe him big.
Because no one paused. Everybody just kept talking and kept going from one person to, and we had about, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of us.
Yeah.
sitting around and having a conversation, which, by the way, it got really awesome because at one point they started asking each other questions, which was fantastic. I was like, oh, sweet. I'm just going to sit here and listen to all of this good conversation because they were trying to talk to each other about how to support each other and what it looks like to support each other. So it was really fun and really fantastic to be a part of that conversation. It got really honest and real, and that's just one of my favorite parts of talking to people anyway.
Me too. So without further ado, as they say, let's let them introduce themselves. But I guess first, let's take a quick break for a word from our sponsor. And we're back. Thank you, sponsor. All right. Let's get into this interview/cocktail hour.
Let's do this.
My name is Tokiwa Sears. Everyone calls me Toki. Most people call me Toki. I have the privilege of running the bar program at Bar Margot and the Four Seasons Hotel. I'm pretty much a native Atlantan. I guess I'm probably the most northern-loving native Atlantan most people know.
Hey!
Hey, you
Me too.
Yeah. Grew up in Stone Mountain.
How'd you get into
Bartending? I'm just drinking and then like learning about drinking and learning about drinks. And honestly, I always thought bartenders were just like so cool. Like, that'd be so cool to be a bartender. You know, look at them go. And so I just had this love affair with food and beverage, and I just love bartending. So, or bartenders, what made me want to bartend. And here we are, 10 years later.
I was going to say, how long have you been in the industry? For 10 years
I've been in
now?
the industry probably closer to 20 years, but I've been bartending for 10 years.
Okay.
Love food and beverage, love cocktail culture, connecting, getting creative, having fun.
Love it.
Yeah.
So what are you creating for us over here?
I'm just keeping it simple. Well, I mean, outside of having to hand juice limes.
I was going to say, you just juiced a
yeah.
lot of limes. That doesn't seem simple.
Making gimlets, one of my favorites. I love making them at home. And I figured, why not just go with a tried and true and do something nice and clean and refreshing and delicious.
Yes.
And gin. Love gin.
Love gin. We love gin. Okay, and we're also joined by Miss.
I am Tiffany Berrier, rhymes with Perrier, those that have never known how to say my last name. I am a cocktail fanatic. I'm so engulfed in history, and I really, honestly love to drink. And you put those two together, and then they call you the drinking coach.
Yes.
That's my nickname in these streets. Before there was an IG, before I had a hashtag, I've worked, I was raised by, I've lived and I've worked. There's a story behind that too, but I grew up in a drinking family. I casually drank and entertained. Where I set the family over and played cards and music and cocktails. I come from a family who loves a punch. I just make it happen. We drank and we shared and we laughed, and no one was ever belligerent or fighting and things like that. So I thought it was so cool. Like, they were doing this thing and they were so fun and smiling, and I'm like, I can't wait to drink. Like, I want to do that too. So I did drink young at age. I'm sipping, but with my family, and so it was just fun to see like something that you could take in and make you happier. I won't say my age, but drugs are bad. And Dare came out, and I was like, I'll never do that, but I will definitely drink. So, curiosity.
Dare did his thing.
Dare. I mean, it was a thing. Like,
to everyone's party.
McGruff and the fire guy was like telling you don't do these things, but they didn't say don't drink. They didn't say don't. Nancy Reagan, and I was like, I'm not gonna do those things. And my family drank, and they were cool. So as I got older, I wanted to be cool too. So I started drinking. But the cool thing about it is I was tasting all kind of cool stuff because my parents kept a nice, cute situation at home. So I stayed under the cabinet. I sipped it all. And I got a bartending job and bartended until I got fed up with people asking me, are you gonna get a real job? And I was like, man, like, I'm coming to work. Is this not a real job? The acceptance with family and friends are like, you can't do this forever, and you can do it forever. Bartending identified who I was. I don't know if I was having an identity crisis, but bartending let me feel okay to be bubbly, okay to have a cocktail, okay to have a different palate, and okay to be nice to people.
So you're not necessarily a bartender right now. What is, because you're a part of
Once a bartender, you're always a bartender.
Sorry.
I do not have a
I apologize.
I do not have a bar home. That is my choice.
Right.
I have been in this city working with some really, really cool people. I really highlight the word hospitality because using your resources in hospitality is really fun, and we all need each other in different categories. There's so many categories of what we do, and I loved doing all of the things. And when you work at one bar or one chef or one brand or one city, it gets boring. So I said, screw that. I want to do everything. And thus far, 3 years strong, self-employed, independent bartender.
Love it.
It's creepy and scary, but my heart's so into it that I'm not broke, and I'm never sober. No, I'm just joking. It's good. It's a blessing for sure to really look at the industry that we're in and figure out, because we're all, a bartender's a brand. You know, this personality that you are is a brand. So I'm like, I can brand myself, and so many brands and bars and chefs and farmers want to do cool stuff. I want to do cool stuff.
I was going to say, you're kind of a big name when it comes to in the cocktail craft drinking industry, right? That's what I heard. That's the rumor on the streets.
I'm likable. I really feel that my success rate is because of my work ethic, and I'm likable. Some people are not likable to work with. Some people fail on multiple check boxes on just doing a job. I'm punctual, I'm fun, I listen, I don't listen sometimes, I say what I want to say, and we make it happen. It's just cocktails. So I feel my success rate is my work ethic. Did I say I was fun?
I heard that.
Yeah, and I'm really fun to hang out with sometimes.
You can just hear it in your voice as we're sitting here talking, obviously.
Yeah, and people want that. People want to work with fun people.
Right, and so I know Katie through her current job. I kind of knew you a little before because I was in the beer world. Yep. One of the things that I was saying to her earlier is like I saw the picture of you guys already hanging out, doing so many things. What are some of the events that I heard you were a judge for a couple of contests? Is that contests? What are they called? Competitions. That's better. Yes. Competitions. What are some of the things that you are involved in? What are some things that you are being a part of, whether it's group, different types of groups or whatnot?
I'm learning how to be really proud of some things I've done. I'm currently on the beverage advisory board for James Beard.
Ooh.
Big stuff, okay?
You're a big deal.
Kind of a big deal.
You're a big deal.
James Beard is the Oscar Awards, the pinnacle of food and beverage. It's really chef-driven, and they sometimes leave the liquid side, the front of the house side, out of it. And so I'm on that board, and I get to make some kind of decisions here and there and actually keep this hospitable. I also sit on Atlanta Food and Wines Board for now 9 years, one of my favorite festivals ever. Again, just having an opinion and being present, a minority in all levels, gender and race. I ghostwrite for a couple of brands and cocktail creations, non-alcohol and alcohol. And I do judge competitions, and recently I was in 2 competitions.
Ooh.
And I won.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see, well, I was kind of weird about it, but yeah. I do make great cocktails. I write them a lot now, and I type them up and submit them, but actually making them on the bars besides my house is not what I do. So I get a chance to just show some presence and be a little twinkle star sometimes.
So can we just hang out and you just make drinks for me?
Please hang out.
Can we do this? I'll bring all of the food.
Yeah.
I'm not going to cook anything, but I'll bring the foods.
There's a Reese.
Yes, exactly. That's That's my favorite thing in the whole wide world.
Right?
So
They did that.
I'll bring some fried chicken if you'll just
Done.
feed me all of the
This
liquors.
is being recorded, so own that. I like chicken. So yeah, it's cool to be. I'm not old in the game. Just before cocktail. Well, I'm old in the game. I don't really know I'm just older. I've been around enough to pay attention to the growth of it, but also keep it rooted.
Right.
Sometimes the verbiage get all thrown all over the place, and people are cool because of likes or maybe the chef they work for, the brand, and they are liked for that. But representing in the hospitable side of it is my thing.
Love it. So some of the questions we had asked before and would love everyone's feedback was, do you feel, because we were talking about some of the things that are happening in the industry, whether it's sexual harassment or inclusivity, do you feel like those situations, especially like, let's say the Me Too era, and we know some of the things that happen within big restaurant industries or big name chefs, do you feel like that's being addressed more and more, or do you think that's still something that's obviously need to be maybe more voiced or whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, Me Too movement is all over. Every industry is Me Too movement, and we have been pretty quiet about what we do because we work in a very fun environment. We say behind you and in front of you and on the side of you, and we say a lot of things together within our own comfort of being in a very tight space that's high, very, very busy, and we keep our personalities in a place so we can give it to the guest. And I think that we have had things happen while we're at work that we're okay with, and they're not okay. So yeah, there's always going to be room for more Me Too's. Always more room. But actually owning it, I've seen it, and then I've seen it hushed. Our community for sure has a voice as well on what's acceptable and what isn't, because there's still some silence around.
And then again, another question, and all of y'all, because we kind of talked about it before. I mean, it's good. They did say that inclusivity when it comes to the involving women, people of color, LGBTQI community. How do you think, is there a better way, or what else can they do to be more inclusive in this industry?
Hire more people of color. Hire more women and not. Well, I think for one, this is deep for me. This is my opinion on people of color in the industry. I had a very heavy conversation with a young lady who said to me she doesn't feel like people of color should be in the service industry because we've been serving for so long. So why would you want to do it now? Me being me, I'm like, okay, facts, that's facts. Nevertheless, when you think about the history of service and you think about, yes, we were serving our people, whether they were Hispanic, Asian, or Black, the people that they were serving were pretty profound. But these profound, rich people who hired this help also hired the most articulate and the prettiest and the most educated and clean, and the etiquette was so tight. We own service, so own it. Like, stop suppressing it and be like, you know what? Actually, I do know how to make the best, I almost cursed, old-fashioned, because I've been making this old-fashioned at my grandpa's house for the preacher of our church, or I know how to pour a glass of wine properly. I know how to polish glassware. I know these things because, unfortunately, my ancestors, my mom, my grandmas, my aunties, we did this. We did this thing as little girls or little boys. Like, we know how to serve, so own it. Own it all the way. So when I hear, like, hire more people of color, some people of color don't want to do it. However, there are some really talented, I'm speaking on the chef side, Black chefs, women and men. For the women, most male chefs of color always say, my mom taught me, my grandma taught me, my aunt taught me, but there's no women in kitchens. So I'm like, so what's up on mom's recipe that you're in here fixing? So I think more people of color that actually honor it with some history and some substance would fix it. As far as women on the bars or women in the kitchens or women in the restaurant in general, like, women don't have to be the host and the eye candy. Women don't have to wear a certain kind of outfit. Yes, we are nicer. We have estrogen, of course. We're nicer. We know our role, but don't hire the woman for this role. So I would love to see more women in other roles, like maybe put a woman on fry. She might really like to be down on fry or on the grill, or put a guy at the host stand. Like, women want to see a nice, handsome guy when they walk in. And as far as the gays, I mean, we need the gays everywhere. Come on, like, LGBTQI is a thing. We've been hidden, we've been put for entertainment purposes, but we have bills, and they have to be paid too. So honor thy neighbor. Ooh, sorry, I have to take a shot.
Gimlet.
Gimlet.
It's delightful.
Toki's Gimlet.
Toki's Gimlet.
Thank you.
Cheers.
We screwed that up again too. All right, just keep drinking now.
We can't do it. We still have a shot.
I also want to add to that as well. I have heard that before as far as Black people, people of color saying, oh, okay, well, we were, serving people, et cetera, et cetera. Around the time, especially when bartending actually became a real profession, it was actually a very, very noble profession. I think that one of the ways to kind of build more inclusion and bring in more people of color, more women, into more professional serving career options is to also open up the education to where they see it as a viable career option. Instead of, we all work extremely hard. We're extremely, talented and knowledgeable, and we just weren't that way just because. Like, we've worked hard, we've read, we sit at bars, we ask questions, we've gone through the ranks of getting certified and all of these different things that we wouldn't be able to be a successful independent bartender or, run bar programs in 5-star hotels without having that structure of your knowledge and working along these chefs and just basically working hard. So I also think that opening it up to where it's shown as a viable career instead of being shown as something you do when you're in college or something you do because you don't have any other choices. This is what I chose to do. I think that would help as well. I do often have people approach me, how were you afforded the opportunity to, be on this show or be in this magazine? It's because you see you think it's glamorous. You don't see the hard work involved. You don't see, me cleaning the bar every night. You don't see me being able to have to adjust my personality and my verbiage per guest, and try to cater that experience individually. You don't see all the books I've read. You don't see, the network of these bartenders that we all know all over this country, all over the world. They don't see all of that. And then when you say, well, do these things, read these books, check out Bar Smarts, check out these avenues to grow as a skill set. And then they're like, wait, what? Because they think it's easy, right? They think it's easy. It's like, oh, okay, you're cute. Wow, you did this, cool. It's like, no, I've been doing this through, I've been grinding. I've had to, be very resilient through these years. I've been that only woman bartender behind a bar. I've been bullied. I've been this and been that. I had to stay extremely strong and put together to make it to where I wanted to be in my career. So I think showing it as a viable career option and showing the work that's involved, because as far as especially African Americans are concerned, you want to talk about, labor and trades and skill sets. After slavery, we had a majority of those skill sets, whether it's welding, bartending, cooking, whatever. We had those skill sets. It's just another skill set. It's a viable, there's nothing wrong with it.
Good trade job.
It's a great trade job. A lot of reward. And it's fun. And it pays the bills.
Amen. Since you brought up, and each time we said service, which obviously there's a reason for that being a hang-up, do you think it would make a difference not only for people of color, but for people in general, like you were saying, getting people to realize that it's an actual career, if we stopped calling it the service industry and talked about it as hospitality? Because that's what you were putting a nail on. No, it's hospitality. It's me making you the drink that I know how to make the best because I know you're going to enjoy it. And me taking the time to make you have a good night versus...
So...
I think it's purely just the way people think about it. It's like service makes it sound like it's work, like it's a job, and I mean like tedious work that you don't want to do. Like it's not anything to enjoy, versus hospitality has a more positive ringtone. And I wonder if people would have a different perception of what we're doing if we if we quit calling it that. I'm just curious.
Great question, Katie. I do think that the wordplay is a very thin line between like the wordplay, the actual definition of service, the actual definition of hospitality. They're clearly going to be something different. There are universities that have a hospitality department. There's people that I've met that have a degree in hospitality, and I'm like, you went to school for this? You went to school, you spent money on this when it's quote unquote the hard knock life, like it's the principle of life. Like what we do for service, I'd say is it's a natural, like you want to do it. You just happen to just like being nice to people or giving to people or, just give, there's no other word. Like I enjoy this gift of humanity. I feel if you, spell service in cursive, it says hospitality. I think it would be a very good survey to say, do you feel like service is the old church hymn of work and or is hospitality like, I went to school for this, I know, because those people didn't do it naturally. I mean, maybe they did, but we would be acing every class with like AAA pluses in hospitality school.
Well, I think maybe hospitality school is more like the technical aspects, right? Like refining your verbiage, management track. A lot of people don't know how to set a table. Where does the dessert spoon go? Where does your water glass go?
I don't know how to do that.
Those kinds of things. I think also maybe, I'm not sure. I'm a college dropout. I'm not sure. I'm assuming that.
I'm not college dropout, but I know how to make a table.
No, right, but a lot of people don't know that. Etiquette. People don't know etiquette. People don't know etiquette. But I do think that there is a difference between service and hospitality. And I also think that hospitality, that I tend to see that term geared more towards like the resort, the hotel kind of avenue of what we do. Because hospitality meaning more so like, okay, welcome to the Four Seasons. You're at home for the next 4 nights that you're here. And I have to do everything possible to make you really feel like this is your home. Versus, coming into a standalone restaurant, enjoying a meal for a couple hours.
When I worked at Emerald's, it was definitely hospitality heavy, but we were also service heavy because I remember our manager said, hospitality like the setting in tables when you were 2 forks, all the water, what's the water glass, whatever. But our service was how we made those people feel, like we anticipate their needs, how we take care of them, how we're nice to them, how we just saying their name over and over again. That was part of the service part. The hospitality part was making them feel welcome. So it goes hand in hand. I mean, I don't think it should change. I don't feel like it puts any damper or downgrade what I do. It's just kind of like it's just like one transition to another. You could be in hospitality and all you do is sit at a desk at a concierge service. But service is when you take care of those people and you want to do it and you go like, hey, Mr. Robinson, welcome back, and we have this for you. We want to make sure you're taken care of. Or that's where the service parts come for me. And I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I just feel like they're just one. One leads to the other thing. It just kind of rolls right in. They're in tandem. They just go together, just regardless of whether you say it one way or do something else. There's your hospitality is welcome them in. The service is how well you take care of them. So it leads into that. I don't think you need to. The verbiage shouldn't change. I've never felt like that made me feel like I was a servant. I'm giving great service, and that means I'm going to make sure you're taken care of, and that's just really it. It's not really a big deal. I mean, if somebody feels that way, then you are in the wrong business, friend. Yeah. I just don't even, because if that's something that small bothers you about being in the service industry, then Jesus, you have a lot. Yeah, because you're here to take care of people. You're here to make them great things. You're here to do great things for them. You can't be bothered by something that's not directly, I don't know how else I could put it.
But it's a noble industry to be in, right?
Yeah, you don't jump in here for money.
No. You take pride in what you do, and it is a noble industry to be in, and not everybody can do this.
Right.
And people that try to look down on someone in the service industry, we're not supposed to curse, but they can kick rocks.
I am in my 40s, and my mother still goes, "Are you trying to go to that university?" I'm like, do you know how old I am right now? Do you know how long I've been doing this? Like, she still, even when I have like articles or whatever it's written, I'm doing stuff, she still doesn't believe it's real. I'm like, I don't even show her anymore if I'm doing something or whatever, because I'm like, I'm like the hope of hopes.
Yeah.
And I appreciate, and I love you for wishing that even at this old age.
My family's
There's still, as I said, I've never had to lean, besides the usual family support, it's a great, this industry's has done me good service. Like, I love what I do. I make money at it. I've moved my way up, worked hard at it, and again, some people still don't see it. Every day they're from the old school. They want to see you go back and finish that law degree. You're like,
Go meet after.
But there's this bar over here.
I could do that.
So that is another good question, because I know just in talking with you guys, and I'm asking you, like, how do you feel about the, sexual harassment stuff? People in the service industry, people in the hospitality industry, people being a bartender, women specifically, have to have really, really thick skins. Oh, yeah. I mean, you guys go through some hard. So one of the things I ask, let's say we're bringing in young women or those who identify as female, coming in and be like, you know what, I do want to be a part of this industry because I'm fascinated by the alchemy aspect of creating something different or doing something perfectly or learning or being in competitions. What would be a piece of advice you could give to them as a warning?
As a warning?
Okay, we're going to give a warning. We'll say piece of advice or warning, either one.
Okay, so sexual harassment is in a lot of industries. I don't think that it's something that the service industry has.
I guess it's open for you.
Maybe.
I think it's a bigger deal just because you're at a bar, you're kind of like more of a free-flowing kind of a situation. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
No. I mean, that may be a way to look at it. If I were to say one piece of advice to anyone, because I don't necessarily, I've known men to be sexually harassed. It's just not a woman's struggle. Learn how to say no and mean it with a smile.
Yeah. I kind of want to piggyback on what Toki just said, not necessarily related to harassment necessarily of any sort or like inappropriate behavior, but learning to say no in general, because as much as this industry has done for us and given us and picked us up, I don't think any of us can argue that it is also an industry that can take advantage of your time and your personal like how much you have to give. You can't, like, getting paid time off is not really a thing at a bar, like things like that. And if somebody calls out and there's only 2 people there, like someone has to feel like, you can make it work, but it's not a place where it's like, oh, it's fine. You can't make it on Fridays, whatever. But like, if you're gonna stay, learning to say no and like learning to not, if you're like, I think many of us are, not feel guilty about being like, no, I can't pick that shift up. I cannot work this 8th day in a row for you. I cannot do such and such. Like, I have to go home and sit with my dog. So 2 different no's. Like a customer no or like a coworker no of like, please do not touch me, and a no of like, this is my time, like I gotta go, like this is not my whole life. I love it here, I love what we do, but I won't tomorrow if you don't let me go home right now. Yeah, I had to, learning that was important for me, because I felt guilty when, like, if you're relied on, if you say no, and like, oh, they're not gonna rely on me anymore. Like if I don't just like, I know that's not true, but the feeling of being like, if I say no now, well, then I'm not going to get it next time, or whatever. Yeah.
I think, not me, but I think most women are raised to be as appeasing and nice and accommodating as possible, right? So I think that's kind of where that issue comes from. Saying no, like you said, no, you told a man no? Like, no, sir, please don't call me sugar. My name is Toki.
That's the second time. Secretary?
Yeah, or whatever. I mean, yeah.
I got finger guns.
Yeah.
Finger guns and
Right.
sugar.
No,
Both
sir,
of those
please,
things.
Please, my name is not Little Lady. My name is Toki. What may I offer you to drink?
Little lady.
I mean, I'm 6'2". I'm not far from Little Lady, but anyway, yeah.
I think knowing yourself, walking into it is really important because we do have to put on the Ritz when you get to work. You do have to put on the show, and we all don't wake up as bright and bubbly as we think, unless sometimes you're me, and it's kind of creepy. Why am I so happy? Because I'm blessed. But I think knowing who you are, like we're different people at home than we are at work, or you might be the same person at home and at work. I've worked alongside Toki before, and I've seen her get it together. I've worked along with Keisha before, and she's like, we're doing this. Like it's a flow, and if Katie as well, it's just you just kind of click in to your quote unquote role, your acting role, your character, your work ethic. But I think knowing who you actually are after work and at work is very, very, it's a good safe zone to say, this is what I'm doing, this is what I want to represent, this is what I'm putting out there. Also what you're also able to accept. You know, if you are going through things at home, you know, getting to work, you might get, you know, you might expound a little too much and be too sensitive, and it could mess up the way you work, or vice versa. Maybe work is a horrible place and home is a great place, and you get to work and you're just in angry face. So I think knowing who you are as an individual, which do we really know who we are sometimes? But I think knowing who we are when you get out of the car, or I did get a little deep, but I think about that because we work in an industry that is giving all the time. So you have to be rooted in something like your personality or your brand or the actual goal while you're working there, not just money, 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 money.
You definitely, well, a lot of people don't know who they are, but it helps. It definitely helps. When I first got in this industry, believe it or not, I was scared to death to talk to people that I didn't know. Like trembling, scared, like you're a stranger. I don't, like it terrified me. Long story short, the point I'm trying to make is that if you let it and if you work hard and you really allow this industry, it will teach you so much about yourself in that you're learning about other people if you're paying attention. And it will, if you allow it, it will allow you to chisel away, and it almost trains you to bring out the best qualities of yourself, like when you have to, like when you need to. You know, I'm having a bad day, like, get it together. Mm-hmm. And you kind of learn how to manage yourself and manage your emotions and you manage you because it's not about you. Unfortunately, like when I'm at work, it's not about me.
Well, that's the
thing. Yeah.
That's the hospitality part.
Exactly. And it lets you, like, it's almost like, it's strange, but it's almost therapeutic, but it's like you give so much to others, it's not about you. But in that, you learn so much about yourself and how to manage yourself and how to manage your feelings. And it's not the end of the world. That's it. Life is good, though. It's not the end of the world. But, yeah.
When I thought about what to bring, I knew that my sisters here were going to bring stuff, and I was like, I don't know, I'm kind of in a brain fart. What am I going to make? Blah, 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 blah. Because when I'm not bartending, I do have a life. I do other things, and I do have a full bar in my truck. I grew up, again, in a very fun family where it's a party anywhere. Yes. And what we do is it's a lifestyle. But because of what I do as a lifestyle, then there's times that you could be at an event and we're short of glassware, we're short of who needs a bar spoon or who, like, whatever. It's like a big purse. I'm like, let me look in my purse and see what I got. But I keep a flask on me at all times. I have since I was 21. My grandfather had a flask. I just thought it was so cool. He would just pull out a flask and take a swig. And I'm like, that is the coolest thing ever, that you have liquor on you at all times. But as I got nerdier and got more educated into the industry and booze and, you know, different components of this industry. The flask was something that I used to hide. Like, if people see you drinking, they're like, oh my God, you've been drinking out of it all day. And I might have been. Or it just may be there for... It doesn't, flasks do not hold that much alcohol, and...
I just think you can hide your business.
Yeah. If anyone ever does see me with my flask, they kind of look at me like, oh, I'm like, did you want some? Like, and I'm not like, did you want some? I'm like...
No, really?
You know, like, break in case of emergencies. But I am always safe. But the flask was created by a woman, and once I found that out, I was like...
in general?
Like in general.
Or the one that you carry?
No, most flask, let's go... flask with a curve. This is prohibition time. Look at my trusty sister pulling a flask out of her bag right now. The curvature on a flask was supposed to be placed in a hip, hence the hip flask, or the side of the bosom, or maybe sometimes in the arm. Prohibition was crazy. Like, could you imagine right now if the government told us, all right, guys, we ain't drinking no more? What? That's like one day them saying, hey guys, pork is no longer available in the States. And I use pork a lot because people are like, I don't do pork, I think we're gonna die. But if the rule was no more alcohol, and that was back then. This is, post World War I. Like, this is America being built, and then they stopped the liquor. Yeah. So just knowing, just thinking about who I would be or where my upbringing would be if there was no alcohol, I feel like it'd be kind of strange. Anywho, speakeasies are being created. There's males and women and having, they're still having drinks, but smuggling is real. And women were not searched. They were not checked on, and it wasn't even appropriate for a woman to be in the bar unless she was in the arms of her man. So what did her man do? Hey, babe, meet me at the bar. I'll bring this club soda, and you bring this liquor. And that's exactly what they did. And so smuggling alcohol was behind the scenes, but it was, it was definitely embedded for women to not look the part, because a woman would dare not have liquor on her unless it was Thursday.
Because what was Thursday?
Well,
that's ladies' night.
it's ladies' night. It's ladies' night.
That's where ladies' night comes from. Yeah, that's where ladies' night comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on Thursdays they would let women into bars. So
And they were loaded in alcohol. They were smuggling in those pretty bustles and petticoats and all that good stuff. So once I found that out, I carried 2 flasks with me at all times. In honor of me, but in honor of my ancestors. But I just know, I think it's cool. So I brought a flask of tequila, the good sugar. Some of the best sugar you can have is agave, and I thought I'd share with you guys.
Thank you. Can I just tiny little bit, because now we're talking about women just starting booze. That's, if nobody knows that, women were also the original brewers.
Right.
And that's also where the stereotype of a witch comes from.
Yeah, beer witch.
Yeah, so before men, and specifically Christian men, thanks Catholics, I grew up Catholic, that's fine, realized, mostly that you could make money off of brewing. Brewing, whether it was beer or cider or whatever, was mostly an in-the-home practice or in your small community practice, and it was pretty much only women that did it. And alewives would wear tall pointed hats so that you could spot them in a crowd and be like, that lady has the beer. They would put a broom on the top of their sign or their doorpost or whatever to say, hey y'all, the batch is ready, you can come over now. And often had cats, because where there is grain, there is rats. Thus cats. And so then when dudes were like, wait, but money, and also just general control, which at the time, the easiest way to get to control people was to tell them they were going to go to hell. They demonized it, and it was like, oh no, that's what a witch looks like. So when witch hunting became a thing, they picked up that image to kill the female industry of making booze, and also to push it into a more industrialized space.
That exact same story goes for moonshiners. and whiskey makers, because to what you said about cats, where there are grain, there are cats, and women, the quote unquote cat woman, the lady with a bunch of cats, that was like to pretty much dewomanize or make us weirdos, but that was to protect our crop.
That is so cool. Right? I did not know that.
It's a big moonshine
That is
story.
really
Big
cool.
Southern moonshine story.
I told Reese, the organizer of the Dames and Dregs Beer Festival that celebrates the original brew, he wanted to have me partake this year, but it didn't work out. He's like, let's work on something for next year. And I was like, can I just like have a tiny one-person booth that's just me in a pointy hat, kindly yelling at guests to the festival about where beer started and why witches are a thing? He's like, yeah, totally. Like, okay, cool.
That makes sense for you.
I can't wait.
That's totally what
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
I would totally stand there and be like, yell more stuff at me about stuff. Yeah, that'd be great.
A year span of time to do some really in-depth research.
Oh, yeah.
One of the things that's so cool about this industry and what we do and beer, wine, liquor, cocktails, it's like you never know. There's no way anyone knows everything about this. Like it's so many different layers and culture, and it ties into so many different things and people and culture. Oh, it's just crazy. That's really cool. I didn't know that. That's cool. Sorry.
Look at us learning.
I know.
Over a couple of drinks. I mean, I think that's to what you said. Yeah, it is really cool. It does bring back the trade job of like, yeah, to make alcohol is not easy. Like it's not making a cup of coffee. Like when you're brewing or you are macerating or fermentating or like carrying things in a wagon, you know, towns over and all that stuff. Like that was their choice. And that was like a really hard job choice. And the fact that, you know, it was male and female together. I mean, from history putting it down, it's male and female. It's really nice to see more women accepted, to what you said earlier, with having the knowledge of it and having the face and the approachability to be like, actually, with this drink, I have a small story. All these liquor stories are told over liquor. We don't know how true all of it is, but some people wrote it down. Some of these scientists and these brewers wrote the recipes down, and that's so cool. Smart guys during the Great Depression. Thanks, guys. Thanks.
We have some more of our conversation, but first we have one more quick break for a word from our sponsor. And we're back. Thank you, sponsor. Let's get back into it.
All right, ladies. So we're going to slowly wrap it up. One, we have a lot of fruits in here and gin and things. And I want to, like, we should create one just for now of something. What could we do right now with what you see, ladies? Put your magic touch to this. We've got wine somewhere in here, I think somewhere. There's not really that much, but we love gin. And there's fruit. There's tonics. And
I mean, I would just do gin and tonics and drop some berries in it. That's what I would do.
Just drink gin and tonics like the Spanish do.
How do they drink it?
how do they drink it?
Iberian style.
Iberian style in a wine glass with a shitload of garnishes. Sorry, I cursed. My apologies.
Ooh.
But yeah, no, I'm totally into how the Spanish drink their gin and tonics.
It's my favorite gin
Like
glass.
really, really good tonic, good gin, big fat wine glass, like giant, and then just throwing fruits and herbs and berries and like.
It looks like we only have one goblet, though.
I did it for food and wine last year. This year. Yeah, basically you depending on the gin you used, if you knew the botanicals of that gin, you garnished the glass with those botanicals. So you've got like the orange zest in there, you got a lemon zest, you got some coriander flirting. It says flirting with the juniper berries inside, and you know you have this lime wedge that's not squeezed. It's just in there. It's in this beautiful goblet, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And you're just drinking gin and tonic.
I don't know if it's only in Spain, but when I went to London Cocktail Week, and I was like, I'm doing G&Ts because I'm English, do this. So I would go, I was like, G&T, please. And it came out always in a big thing with all this stuff. I was like, this is my drink of the week. So everywhere I went, I was
Yeah,
like,
we've been doing it wrong. That's what you're telling me.
oh yeah. So
I've been doing this
Also,
wrong.
Yeah.
Americans don't really seem to be on that gin train, and I would really
Oh,
like
I
that.
love gin.
It is getting, yeah,
It's
it's
getting better. It's getting better.
Well, here's the thing. When I was doing that thing with the cocktail thing at CNN and we talking about vodka, I was like, if you want a flavored vodka, just go ahead and order this gin. It's totally right there. You don't ask me for citron. Don't get me wrong, vodka gets a bad rap, but don't ask for some extra special vodka. If you don't want to open your palate up to something cool and amazing like gin, then I don't know what else to tell you.
I'm just saying, I've got goblets.
All right, we got goblets, so we're gonna try this.
fruits.
I feel like we need to definitely do the gin and tonic, that style.
Gobble, gobble.
Yes, because I will drink that all day. Two,
It's my go-to.
I have
that's the, every time I see you at Boxcar, I will be asking.
Yes. And it'll be different every time.
Yeah, I have an idea.
You do? Oh, we got ideas. So let's, on top of that, where can we find you social media wise? Give us your tags, give all of those things so we can come and hunt you and stalk you down.
I am the drinking coach, spelled correctly, the, not duh, and drinking, not drinking. Coach, I'm on IG, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, and I'm on the streets. You can't find me at a home bar, but if you do follow me on IG, you can follow me and see where I pop up at.
I am at Miss Libation on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook, Tokiwa Sears. That's my name. What else? I don't really do Twitter like that, but I'm at Miss Libation on Twitter as well. And you can find me on LinkedIn as well. And you can also find me at the best cocktail bars in the city, best restaurants in the city, or I'm at home.
That's so real.
Keisha Cyrus. I guess you can find me on Instagram as Wino. It's spelled wine. Oh, yeah, that's what I came up with. I'm a wino, and I also love wine and all that stuff. So on Instagram, I don't do, and Facebook, Keisha. Yeah, and if you're ever around, you want to get dumb during the day, I work at Joystick, video games and cocktails. Even though it looks like it's a divey bar, and it is, we can still make you a proper drink. So do not be afraid. It's always fun. So check me out. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
I am at one more round on Instagram, 1_more round. I do not Facebook, just Instagram. And you can find me on the bar at Boxcar in the West End.
In Atlanta.
Yes, in Atlanta.
Unicorn.
Yeah.
All these restaurants are in Atlanta, so if you come to Atlanta, please come and say hello to these beautiful, beautiful ladies with their fine, fine concoctions. And of course, their fine selves as well. So, anything else y'all want to add? Anything else we want to add?
Drink gin.
Drink responsibly.
Drink,
Yes,
yes,
good point.
do drink responsibly and do drink gin.
And tip well and tip often.
Yes, and I think I said it before, but Tiffany always says it. Don't order what you always order. Order something new. Try new stuff.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, I started to think.
No, yes. Just real quick. Real quick.
I have one more.
Real quick.
Plenty of liners.
Don't go to bars and order things that you make at home to drink. Let the bartender give you an experience. Don't go to bars and look at a cocktail menu and ask the bartender what's good. Let us know a little bit more about you, and we can guide you in the right direction. And if you're at the right bar, we can create something for you to cater to your mood or to you or how you're feeling or whatever the case may be. But let's think a little bit deeper. Because we wouldn't put drinks on the menu if we didn't think they were good. That's all I have.
It's the 25 commandments of cocktails or bar etiquette. My one-liner, maybe two one-liners, are if you don't like the way alcohol tastes, please don't drink it. You don't have to. It's okay. If you don't like it, if it burns, if it does something to you, please don't feel like you have to do it. It's okay. And if you are lost at the bar and you don't know what to do, look at that awesome person that's getting paid to do the job and say, just make me something. even though we're going to look at you and ask a few questions. But just kind of know what you like. And it's easy to start off saying what you don't like.
That brings us to the end of this, our first cocktail hour, but hopefully we will have another one.
Yeah, so thank you to them to come and just speaking with us about all of the trials and all of the goodness of being in the alcohol industry, and also sharing with us their delightful tasting drinks.
Yes, and the conversation honestly could have kept going.
Right.
Everyone was sort of like, well, we have to stop. And we were,
It actually kept going. It did keep going. We were like, oh, well, they're trying to get home, man.
Yeah. But we're hoping to do another one and, again, come up with that Sminty-themed cocktail, see what other people come up with. And there were certain other interviewees that we wanted, but were competing in competitions, cocktail competitions, so they couldn't come. So maybe we will revisit this in the future. But in the meantime, thank you so much to all of them, and thanks to you for listening. You can, again, check us out, She Podcast Live, this Friday, October the 11th.
In Atlanta.
In Atlanta. That's also important. Thank you. We would love to hear from you. You can email us at stuffmediamomstuff@iheartmedia.com. You can find us on Twitter at momstuffpodcast or on Instagram at stuffmomnevertoldyou. I don't know why Samantha's laughing at me. But anyway, thanks as always to our super producer, Andrew Howard.
Old awesome.
With help from guest super producer, DJ Dave. And thanks to you for listening. Stuff Mom Never Told You is a production of iHeartRadio's How Stuff Works. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.